Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Hurrah! Get some. What's going on, everybody? Hey, another week is almost over. Baby Friday is here. Friday night's Eve. Goddamn. Almost the weekend. Yeah, I hope you had an amazing week. You've been crushing it out there. You've been doing the do and all that good stuff. Let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. We got an amazing guest today, but before we get to all that, let's get all this stuff out of the way. Hey, when was the last time that you really took a look at, where you're at financially as well as protecting your assets? At the Money Pro, what they do is they provide some very specific strategies and techniques that you can start implementing right away, so that you can really put your money away and achieve your financial goals. Whether you find yourself dipping into that 401k that looks like it's turned into a 101k, or maybe you're just short at the end of the month because you're still in the military and you're probably an E5 or below, and you find yourself financially struggling, and you need to make an extra $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000. Or if you're a single parent or you're a teacher that finds himself underpaid after many years of working, well, at the Money Pro, if you want to start making an additional $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, without completely changing whatever it is that you're currently doing, part-time, on the side, sometime, anytime, they're also there, and they can show you a new career path or an additional career path that you can start making some money. So not only will you learn how to save your money, but also really start saving, whatever your situation may be. Just go to meetthemoneypro.com and schedule yourself a 1-hour free strategy session where they'll give you some very specific techniques and things that you can start using right away, and that sets you up straight on the right path to financial freedom. Okay, and if you haven't, I always pump up the VA, despite of whatever's going on. And by the way, I'm not sure if you got to go to on the Facebook channel, but I know I get a lot of text messages from friends and a lot of chatter on TikTok as well about veterans benefits going away. Hey, look, I'm here to tell you, along with the new VA secretary, that is not true. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and that you can find not only on cable TV but on social media. If anything, they're going to get better. So they're just cleaning. Right now they're cleaning house with this new office going in there, and if anything, like I said, the benefits are going to get better. They're streamlining the system and catching up right now, moving really forward in a lot of backed up claims, because they're about 6 months behind. So benefits are not going away. Go on my Facebook channel at the Field Op on Facebook, and you'll see an actual video from the VA secretary that was published yesterday. And I went and I threw that in there. So calm down, everybody. The sky is not falling. Everything is good to go. As a matter of fact, if you need help putting in your claims, myself and this next guest as well, he has other resources that he can point you in the right direction. I use ChatGPT, among other things, and I've already helped several veterans with no cost to them how to put a VA claim, and the process is very easy in less than an hour. So if there's something that you need help with, hit me up. I'll be more than glad to put you in the right direction. All right. So that's all good stuff. Hey, look, this show right here, we support the great American Constitution, and all the good things that come with it: the right to bear arms, the right to freedom of speech, the right to gather, whatever the case may be. So if you like what you hear on this show, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Hey, look, I got about 7,000 of you folks out there, putting chatter on the Facebook channel. Can you please hook a brother up and go on my YouTube channel as well, and just like, subscribe, and follow, just so I can pop up the analytics and and really start and really take this all the way to pass this information. So please do me a habu, a hook a brother up, and go on the channel and help me out. Also, if you want to be a podcaster and you're thinking about it, hit up Sitchradio.com. Brian Colbert is an amazing individual. Shout out to Brian, and thanks for everything that you do. So if you like what you hear and you want to be one of us, hey, hit him up and or shoot me a DM. I'll be more than glad to make that connection. All right. So that is it. All right. This next guest, his name is Darwin Larson. Hey, this guy was in the Navy. So hey, the Marines, we work for we're a department of the Navy, the men's department. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. But this man does an amazing thing. He's here to talk about really connecting veterans with one another, because while there may be a lot of veteran organizations for veterans by veterans, we're still missing the mark. And we're going to talk about this today. So, hey, let's do me a favor and give a huge welcome to Mr. Darwin Larson. What's going on, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
Great, man. Great to be here.
I love the habu. Help a brother out. Like I'm all over it, bro. I wrote that down. I'm gonna put that everywhere. That's cool.
Or back in the day, hook a brother up. That's
hook a brother up. Come on, man. Let's get it done. I want to just say,
so tell everybody who you are. What branch did you serve? What was your MOS? Where did you serve? Just right quick.
Yeah. So Darwin Larson. I live in Fort Myers, Florida, and I've been married for 35 years. I've got 2 children. And I served in the Navy, so and we take the Marines everywhere they need to go. So I mean that we're the taxi cab, right? So anyhow, I was a jet engine mechanic. I served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm in Libya, and man, I just over the last 5 years just found a love and passion for the service that I gave, right? And then on top of that, there were a lot of people that came around me that I did not know, but they were willing to help me out as a veteran. And, when I saw that brotherhood, I saw that collectivism and help, I wanted to do the same thing. And so, that's kind of where we are. I am also the vice president of veteran affairs for a company called Biz Connect Coalition, and also Veteran Biz Coalition.com. So we are just, I mean, it's amazing what we're doing right now. My brother Tom Long introduced the 2 of us, and I mean, this guy's just connected all over across the country, and I'm doing these things. I love it, man. So
no, and that's great, man, and we're glad to have you here. And we're gonna dive into Veteran Biz Connect and all that good stuff. But let me ask you this: what inspired you? I know you serve in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and all that stuff, but what actually pulled you in, or made you want to join the Navy?
Yeah, so my dad was in the Army in Vietnam, and dads and oldest sons, we kind of have a banter back and forth, and he was one of the old school guys, and he said, "I'm gonna tell you something, boy. At 18 years old, you either join the military or you're out of my house." And he says, and the only military you're joining is the Army. So I joined the Navy because my uncle was in the Navy. And he lived in Virginia Beach, which I had never been to. And I was like, if I joined the Navy, maybe I could go to some of these nice beach areas. And lo and behold, I ended up serving in Norfolk, Virginia. And, one of the cool things about that, Pancho, was my dad didn't really talked to me a whole lot after I joined the Navy and went to boot camp. But man, when he showed up at graduation, that was a magic moment, man. He was so proud. And, to me, that just instilled, I've always had a sense of pride about this country, love this country, and I wanted to do whatever I could. Granted, I was a poor boy from Ohio, not a whole lot of options, being in trouble with the law, all kinds of stuff. Right. But man, once I got through boot camp and once I got serving, I fell in love with it. I did.
That's awesome, dude. No, and that's great. I mean, and you kind of did a little segue right there. A little bit of an anecdote talking about your dad. when he saw your boot camp. My dad saw me. May my old man rest in peace. He saw me in uniform. All of us do that. We all put on, our. In my case, it was the dress blues when I was a PFC, fresh out of boot camp, and I went to see my old man because he couldn't go. He couldn't go to Paris Island to my graduation. But when he saw just the face that he made, I mean, that right there. It was amazing. So no, that's great, dude. So as kind of steering the ship a little bit at Veterans Biz Connect. How was your journey transition from military to civilian? Before we get into all this, so how's a little bit of your transition and your journey? What were some of the things that you found, and what were the things that some of the veterans can try to steer away from, based on your lessons?
Yeah. So, I was under the old industrial age type thinking, right? Go get an education or go to the military, get a skill, get a degree in college, whatever. And then, go get a good job and work that job for 40, 45 years and retire, fat and happy, right? That was the old cliche. And, what had happened, I followed that instructions. Like I went to the military. I was a jet engine mechanic, so I worked on F-14s, F-18s, and then I excelled with helicopters because I worked. Okay, here you go. Here's your plug, Pancho. Ready? I worked directly with Marines, and I just loved working in that atmosphere. And so I had a knack for mechanical stuff, and Harley Davidson hired me in their manufacturing plant, in York, Pennsylvania. So
okay.
I took my beach girl that I married, and we moved with our daughter to York, Pennsylvania. That was a culture shock, to say the least, because and I guess we got a little bit of time. The weekend that she moved up there, I moved up before she did. The weekend she moved up there, the blizzard of '96 hit. And so
I remember that.
Yeah, there was like 54 inches of snow, lightning, thunder, nor'easter, right? So we moved up there. I had a really cool manager that hired me. He really looked after me, and he kind of directed me into the corporate training world. So I got into corporate training, and then all of a sudden, I was faced with life reality. Right, something happens in your life, and you got to make some decisions. My father worked for the telephone company out of West Virginia, and he was coming up through Virginia and was rear-ended, and his company was self-insured. He'd been there for 32 years. He was just getting ready to retire, and they basically, you got a lump sum. He worked, it was a union, right? So right. He was like, they said, you got a lump sum. Here's, $500,000. We wish you the best of luck. We'll pay for your insurance. And until you hit Medicare, Medicaid, and you're out. Damn. So I was sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, holy smokes, man, I'm 6-7 years into this whole manufacturing lifestyle. What if something like that happens to me? So I started to look for, ways to earn secondary income. And okay. I mean, I looked at franchising. I looked at, I was a corporate trainer, so I'm good at training. So I was like, well, do I go into the self-help world? Do I go into the training world? Which I did. I own my own business consulting company. We specialized in diversity training, sexual harassment, violence in the workplace, those kinds of things. We did good, but we didn't make killer money. And then I was introduced to a company that I could work part-time on the side. And over the period of time, it allowed me to earn a full-time income, which allowed me to take an early retirement from Harley Davidson when they downsized. So you look at that and you say, there was 3,500 employees at the time, and they all had the same experience that I did, but very few of them actually looked at what I call a plan B, right? Or a way out. Right. And so I give all, I'm a faith guy. I give all glory to God that he led me down that path. And I was able to, to provide that because my family and I were able to, just pull stocks and do what we were doing and live the life that we were already living, because it didn't hurt us as bad with that. So, life experiences, man, they're priceless. That is, if you take action. And, fortunately, I saw what happened to my father, and I took action to provide for my family secondary. I didn't know that it was going to become my primary, but it did. So,
and you bring up a really good point. And unfortunately, because and we kind of had a brief conversation a little bit about this yesterday, but now, I've always been an entrepreneur all my life, even as a kid, even while in the Marine Corps. I always had some type of hustle, right? As a matter of fact, at one point I had all the vendor, even as a chief warrant officer, as I was getting ready to retire, my last couple, I owned all the food vendor trucks inside Camp Pendleton. They all carry one of my credit card machines.
There you go.
So, but to your point, we've all been conditioned to this 9 to 5, which, by the way, we all serve that master at some point in time, and some more than others. But we've all been conditioned that, hey, work from 9 to 5, 30, 40 years, die at that company, whatever the case may be, that this, kind of like the Mandalorian, that this is the way, that there's nothing, and everything else is. And a lot of the time, fear is what holds a lot of people back from taking that necessary next step, or to take on that plan B that may give them that out that they were looking for. So and I think this is you bring up another good point, that this is a good segue, because during that time frame, you also, you kind of started looking into other things. So what motivated you when you found Veteran Biz Connect? What motivated you to join the organization?
Yeah. So what had happened was, and when you said, here's a really good point that people need to understand. So fear is a motivator. Fear will drive you to receive information in a certain way.
Right.
So and that was me. Like, I'm not kidding. I have nothing to hide. I'm not kidding you. My wife was an executive at a bank. I was, a corporate trainer for a Fortune 100 company in the world. And, I wasn't keeping up with the Joneses. We were the Joneses in our neighborhood. We had the newest cars. We had a double lot. All the things, all the trappings. So my wife came down with a serious back injury, and we had just had our son, and she couldn't even lift our son. She couldn't lift anything over 5 pounds. And a gentleman had approached me, and this is very important, because at the height of where I was, a gentleman had approached me. He was in one of my classes, and he was like, "Bro, you have a natural gift. You have a gift for training, for teaching. Man, you'd make a lot of money at what I do." And when I wasn't training, I was a quality inspector. I was like, "Rick, you're a painter, and I'm your quality inspector, and I see what you do. You're right. I can do better than you." And he said, "No, I own a company outside of here." Right? Fear stepped in, and it gave me a preconceived notion of what this guy was talking about.
What's this guy going to talk to me about?
All these red flags went up, because my mom and dad had tried all these things back in the day in Ohio, and as a farm owner, and I was like, no, absolutely not. So then my wife experienced this back injury, and I thank God every day that I had the opportunity to work 70 hours a week. Now, most people would look at me like, what are you smoking, right? Who works 70 hours? I did, because I had to make ends meet for my wife and my family. And it wasn't until she found he introduced her to a product. That was almost 27 years ago. And she still needs the back surgery that this product helped her with. So I, being like, well, I'm not joining anything in network marketing. There's no way. I was like, however, Rick, how do I get this product at cost instead of paying retail? He fished me right in. And what happened from there was, man, it was just magical. I was able to build a secondary income to replace my wife's income. I was able to here. I went to a couple of the leaders and I said, hey, look, I'm working 70 hours a week and I have a great customer base. I was, all this stuff. I was like, how do I get to 40 hours a week? And they sat down with me and they taught me about goal statements. They taught me how to write goals. They taught me how to do this. So I cut my overtime from 70 down to 50 hours. And I was like, in 3 months. I was like, holy man, if I could do that in 3 months, what could I do in 6? In 6 months, I was asking to work if I could just work part-time, 30 hours. It ain't happening, right?
Right. So
that's how I got started. Now, how did Veteran Biz Connect come all about all this, right?
There you go.
I was, we moved to North Carolina. We moved to Florida. We moved to North Carolina, and 5 years that we lived there, it snowed 4 out of the 5 years. I said, we ain't far enough south. So we ended up moving to Fort Myers, and a gentleman that I had been involved with years ago, I did some trainings with. We built a team together. He reached out to me, and we reconnected. And here's what we did. We did a survey of all of our reps, and we had close to 3,000 reps at the time, all in the United States and the UK. And what we found out, we surveyed them, and what we found out is that 94% of them would never go to a networking event, professional networking event, like Chamber of Commerce, BNIs, LaTips, all these different organizations that are out there.
Right.
So we created a professional networking platform and veterans is my forte because I'm a veteran. I'm a disabled veteran. And so I focus on the veterans, but we do it with veterans. We do it with EMS, firefighters, police officers. We do it with churches, gyms, organizations. So we have 4 different entities that we work in. And what we do is, instead of taking somebody and just taking them to a networking event like I did the first time, cold, not knowing anything. And I built my business on that. Do you understand? I built a business going to these networking events. But a lot of people didn't have what I call the chutzpah, or they couldn't overcome the fear, Pancho, to go to these things because they felt like they were out of place. Right, so we created something with commonalities, man. You got a veteran, and they enter a space of other veterans. They already have a warm-up question. Hey man, where'd you serve, Pancho? What did you do in the Marine Corps? And so it was already a warm connection. So, and then we built this whole platform around that. And then Tom, who introduced us, him and I, we ran into all these veterans that were struggling with some of the same things I have: PTSD, anxiety, depression. Just to be put in a stressful situation. Right. They can't work in that world. So what do they do? They start as they fall back on their training in the military, and they become an entrepreneur in something that they already did. But they don't have a referral base. And so what we've been able to do with Tom and I, man, the dude's he's incredible. We've been able to work with veterans. We go into VFWs, we go into American Legions, we go into veteran service organizations, and we connect and we build a relationship with these veterans. And then we get them used to networking, and then we can actually take them, when they feel comfortable, out into the public sphere and introduce them to a whole new world that can support their business and their entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm telling you right now, man, it has been a gift.
Yeah. I do a lot of cold market prospecting, and then putting my business out there. And it does take, I guess I have a little bit of an advantage. I was a Marine Corps recruiter. I went through that training, which, man, I am glad, not to take away from the drill instructors, because what they do is special. And them dudes, they live on, back then was no-dos and Snickers and Skittles, just because they're all ramped up. But it gave me a lot. It gave me a base platform where I've always been an extrovert. So, I like to talk to people. I've done corporate training. I was for a while, I've post service, an OSHA outreach instructor. So, and I did a lot of the trainings too that, some of the things that you did, sexual harassment, all that. I've been there and done that. But there are a lot of platforms out there that say, oh yeah, this is a veterans forum. And then because I do a lot of that just to kind of like filter through the bullshit, so to speak. So when I go on these forums, I find a lot of, oh, hey, my dad was in the military, my brother this, my cousin. And again, nothing against those platforms, because I appreciate that you are a supporter, but don't call it a veterans forums, because I'm going in there with the mindset that, hey, I'm gonna go out there, talk to like-minded people and do business or connect or whatever. I don't want to, and again, no, hey, if you get, what, fuck it. If you get your feelings hurt, whatever, I don't give a shit where, your cousin, your whatever, your dad, whatever that they serve. I appreciate you, the support, but this is not your forum. You didn't serve. It's like somebody, I almost joined, and well, bitch, you didn't. So kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to look for when I'm looking for a veteran forum. And I think that what you and Tom are putting together, I think this is going to be amazing, because again, we should be giving business to each other and helping each other out, rather than just kind of everybody, the buddy effort thing. Everybody just kind of doing their own thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, just if I could just piggy on that real quick, man.
Yeah.
You just hit on an incredible experience that Tom and I both went through. So the actual founder of Biz Connect Coalition, that's what the Veteran Biz Connect falls underneath of. He didn't serve. He went to college. He got hurt and he couldn't serve. But he has this intense passion. He started a nonprofit for deceased or disabled veteran kids, the kids of the veterans, where, I mean, the guy's an incredible outdoors. I mean, he's taught me a lot, and I thought I was pretty savvy when it comes to hunting and, fishing, but this guy's taught me a ton of stuff. And he created this nonprofit, and he told me about this years ago, and I worked with him on some projects. And then when he came to me about Biz Connect Coalition, when him and I both kind of, started forming this whole thing, there was 3 of us at the time. He asked me about the veterans. And I said, Don, I said, I love you to death, and I know you wanted to serve, and I get it. I said, but Bo, I said, if we're going to do anything for veterans, anything, there's no charge. We don't literally, we have a free, and I know, you were asking me about this earlier, but we have a free directory. When I moved to Fort Myers, I bought a home here that I'm sitting in right now. I started going online and finding these. I wanted veteran-owned businesses to do my work. I had a lot of stuff done. They wanted to charge me $40, $50, $60, $100 to get the information for a veteran. And I said, if we're going to do something, man, it's going to be free. So we started a free directory, national directory, where everybody, veteran-owned.biz, www.veteran-owned.biz. If you are a veteran on here and you own a business, right now you can go on there and register your business for free. And it's no charge to you, but it's also, more importantly, it's no charge to civilians out there. They can get your information, because there's a ton of people. I work with a Vet Fest in Malvern, Pennsylvania. I'm doing one here in Fort Myers in November. There are tons of people out there that want to support these veterans, and we got to get their names out there. We got to get them access to these veteran-owned businesses and get these veterans the respect. And you know what? They come with integrity and character. They're going to do the job. They're going to do it right. They're going to do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah. No, and that's great. I mean, we got to be able to help veterans and kind of help them charting out a course as they become veteranpreneurs, as I like to call them. So
there you go.
Yeah. So what advice would you have for veteran business owners or people or vets, hell, even service members who are thinking of doing their own business, what common obstacles do veterans will face kind of starting their own businesses?
Well, I mean, the first thing, and I would just say this, man, because it was probably the most impactful thing in my life. And I don't care who you, I mean, if it's Kevin O'Leary, if it's Robert Kiyosaki, if it's these guys out there that are just huge in the entrepreneurial world, they all talk about the same thing. And that is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Literally. I mean, I looked at my father, he put all of his eggs in the telephone company in West Virginia, right? And when all that happened to him, it was done. Fortunately, I was able to advise and give some great advice to him. He lost his leg several years ago from neuropathy, and the VA was able, put state of the art, prosthetic on him. But for me, and what I tell veterans is, look, if you've got a skill, if you've got a trade, and you're making great money at it, great. But here's the deal. If something was to happen to you, what would happen to your family? What would happen to your income? What would happen to your retirement? And the thing is, so we as veterans, let me clarify that because I have a young man who's like adopted son to me. He just went through boot camp a couple of years ago, and it ain't the boot camp, Pancho, that you and I went through. I can tell you that. Okay. We're mission central. Like, we were given a mission, a job, and we were held accountable for that job.
Right.
And it usually was singularly focused, right? You're a jet engine mechanic, do the best. And what happens with veterans is when we come out of that theater, we tend to walk through life with that same singular focus. And what happens is something happens to us along the way, like what happened to my wife. And all of a sudden you're like, my God, what do I do? How do I supplement my income? Well, I got to be honest with you. For most people, it's too late. So what I would say to veterans, and my best advice to them is, don't wait till it's too late. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that, man, dude, you like. TikTok blows my mind. I know a lot of people are against TikTok, but Jesus, there's a lot of people making. I got a young buck here who comes to my house all the time as a adopted son. I got a lot of them. So, and he's got 40,000 followers on TikTok right now. He's making $4,000 or $5,000 a month by what he posts on there. So there's all these ways that you can earn a secondary income. It doesn't have to take away from your business or your entrepreneurial spirit. It adds to it, right? When we're dealing with veterans with disabilities, there's a lot of pride and ego. I met a guy yesterday at a networking event, and he was just like, yeah, I don't want to take away from veterans who really, really need it. I said, wait a minute.
My brother used to say the same thing about his VA claims and benefits. It took me 20 plus years, because we went on the buddy program. Took me 20 plus years to finally put his ass and sit him down and do a VA claims. But yeah,
exactly. But hey, Pancho, you were in the Marine Corps, I was in the Navy, but we both signed a blank check. Payable on death.
I say that, dude, you're like, preach on, brother, because that's what I say every fucking show.
And my best friend, he lived with me on the farm in high school in his junior and senior year. He went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm with me. And he's suffering from all this stuff. And he's at a job he absolutely hates. He can't stand to get up in the morning. And he has a skill set with wood, dude. It's just amazing. I'm not a Florida Gator fan, but he made this mailbox thing. I was like, bro, what if you had an extra $2,500 or $4,000 a month to come in that would just pay for your wood that you can make all this stuff? What would it mean to you? I said, you earned this stuff. You paid for it. You have these illnesses and disabilities just like I do. From Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So for me, your question was, what would I tell veterans? And that is this: don't sit on one egg. Don't do it, man. Fill your egg basket up with multiple streams of ways to make money, and make sure, this is important. Make sure that one of them is wrapped around the passions of your heart and soul and mind.
Yep, exactly, 100%. Let me, and kind of about talking about networking and all that good stuff is give me a couple of networking tips and building connections in the business world. I talk about this all the time, but I want them to hear it from somebody else. Okay, just give me a couple.
So here's what a lot of people think. When you go into a networking and like, I have products and services that I move to the end consumer, right? It's one of my businesses. A lot of people think that they have to go into a networking event and create and seal the sales deal, done deal right there. I always tell people, man, your only job when you go to networking events, whether it's a social event, whether it's a BNI, whether it's a Biz Connect, Veteran Biz Connect, your number one goal, and it was kind of funny because Don, who created Biz Connect and is the founder, my wife is still listening, she's gonna freak out. He had an hour and 15 minutes before he had to be at the airport. And he said, hey, man, look here. I found a networking event down at the Chamber of Commerce in Fort Myers. I'm like, Don, you got to be at the airport. He goes, so what? We got time. Get a suit jacket on. I didn't even have a suit jacket that really fit me. My wife threw it together. We went to this networking event. I'd never been to one before. Never in my life had I ever been to a networking event before this. We went in there and I walked out with 25 business cards. And what was crazy was he was on one side of the room, I was on the other, and he goes, Darwin, come here. And he pulls me over and I meet this guy, and he is a veteran, Navy veteran. He's running for sheriff of Lee County.
Oh, wow.
And him and I connected big time. Like I helped him all I could. I mean, he didn't win, of course, but I did everything I could to help him. But the thing that the biggest thing is I got his card, and here's what I said. I said, Coach, his name is Coach Ray. I said, Coach, let's meet on Monday or Tuesday for lunch. And we met for lunch, and I got to know this guy. I built a relationship with him. So when you're going to networking events, it's not about selling your product or your service. It's about exposing what you do. And then, but the most important thing, the number one important thing is booking the follow-up coffee, beer, lunch, breakfast, whatever, so that you can get to know that person. Because here's what I found is people will refer business to people that they know, like, and trust. Period.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that at a networking event, I'm sorry. I mean, if you can, teach me how, because I am going to patent it and I'm going to sell it. But most people cannot seal that deal at a networking event. So that's my biggest tip to anybody who, whether it's it doesn't matter whether it's veterans or not, that's everybody. Go there with the intent of booking meetings and follow-ups with them. And here's the other thing. So just so you know, this is my stack of cards from this past week of networking events that I went to. On the back side of them, I take a Sharpie and I write when I met them, where I met them, and something cool about it I liked about them.
Yeah, I do that too.
And so that way, when I'm in front of them, I was like, Poncho, man, it was a pleasure meeting you at Mission Barbecue at the networking event last week, bro. Dude, I love that shirt you had on. Where'd you get it at?
Yeah, no, you got to make a connect. Yeah, and it's all about, finding that common ground. Again, if with veterans, a little different because, you could talk about the service, MOS, shitty COs, doing duty, fire watch, whatever. I mean, but, you got to find some type of common ground. And, and then, and that's when you can say, hey, look, if it makes sense, are you open, whatever, because while they may not be ready for whatever it is that you're showing them, or even their product, it doesn't mean that it's no right now. It's just now is not the time. So they're not ready for it. So
and here's the other thing, Poncho, if you don't mind, I'll share.
No, go ahead, bro.
So I got a guy in my neighborhood. We met. He walks the neighborhood. We go to the pool together. We meet each other at the pool. I found out that this guy served in the Navy, and he was aboard the USS America, which I was aboard also. Long before me, he was on board there. And so all of a sudden, like, this super connection happened.
Right.
I met with him, and he began to tell me his story. He was a firefighter in Chicago, retired from the fire department because his daughter died from a heart condition in the high school gym, and nobody knew how to run the AED and the I can't remember the other name of it, but they didn't know how to run it. So she died right there in the gymnasium. So he passed a law in the state of Chicago and Illinois that everybody, every coach and every school staff member had to learn how to use an AID.
First aid, CPR, AED.
CPR, yeah. And so then he moved to Florida here, and he told me about this. He said, I'm running up to Tallahassee at a networking event. So I do a networking event at Top Golf every week, 2 to 5, right? I'm there, and the guy that runs it through Biz Connect. And he said, "Oh my God, you're here." I'm like, "I'm here every week." He goes, "I got 3 people I got you to meet. And Billy, I want you to meet Billy." So I met Billy. He told me his goal. His goal was he runs the largest amateur pickleball tournament in the world every year. And the reason why he runs that is he wants every high school student athlete and college student athlete to be trained in CPR and AEDs and how to do it. And I said, "Hold up. I've got somebody you got to meet." And George is suffering right now from stage 4 cancer. He's beating it. Right? I mean, thank God he's beating it. But his biggest fear was, what if I don't get this done and I die and I can't fulfill my daughter's legacy? So
Damn.
I made the connection. So I went to this networking event. I met Billy. I introduced him to George. We met at Mission Barbecue, and these two talked for an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. And then they turned to me and says, "We're sorry. This was supposed to be about you." And I said, "No, it wasn't. This is all about you guys." So that's the other key, is to book the appointment after the networking event, but then find somebody. And as you network more, you're going to build a circle. Find somebody that you can refer business to them or relationship to them. It's huge.
Damn. Well, as we're getting ready to wrap up the show, Darwin, how can veterans get involved and seek support from your organization? Yeah.
So if you're a veteran-owned business, the best thing for you to do is to go on right now, veteranowned.biz, and sign up for the free directory. If you're interested in hosting and starting your own networking business, trust me when I tell you, if a 3rd grader can do it, I can teach you how to do it. It's simple. But if you're interested in starting your own networking event in a VFW, American Legion, or just in your community, right? Let me know. I'll help you get started with it. It's easy. It's free for veterans. You can start a chapter on bizconnectcoalition.com, go into the Veteran Biz tab, and you can start a free chapter right there. We will train you, and we will show you how to run your own professional networking chapter, where you are now the head of the chapter, and now everybody wants to know you, and you get to know everybody. And I'm telling you right now, it's the #1 way to expand your business, to get people buying products and services from you or from other people that you know, and build a network of referrals. It's so powerful.
What was that website again, man? That way our listeners can.
Yeah, so it's there's 2 of them. For the directory itself is www.veteranowned.biz. And then if you're interested in networking and want to start your own networking group, I can teach you. That's going to be www.bizconnectcoalition.com.
That's awesome. I just, for everybody, I just put it on the screen and I put it on the comments as well. It's also in the show description as well. So, I mean, if you should be all over this like white on rice, you know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Darwin, where can people find you? Any social media that people can link up to you? And aside from Veteran Biz Connect, veteran owned Biz Connect, where else can they find you?
Yeah, I'm Darwin Larson at Facebook.com, Instagram. Man, I don't even know what that is. My daughter takes care of a lot of that for me. But I'm on Instagram, Darwin Larson. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me under there. If you put in Biz Connect Coalition, it'll show all of us on there. So I'm on there. You can put my phone number in there if people want to reach out to me. It's 239-209-5599. Anybody just text me before you call me and tell me where you met me, and I'll jump on a call with you. I'm blessed because of the people that we are able to meet through this whole organization. Just so you know, it looks very promising, almost 100%. That we are going to co-sponsor the Army's 250th birthday this year, and then
Marine
also
Corps' birthday too
next year. Navy and Marine Corps is next year. So by doing the Army, we do the Navy and Marine Corps next year, and with the United States birthday.
I have to look into that because I think the Marine Corps is older, dog.
Huh?
The Marine Corps, Navy, aren't we the oldest branch? And then yes, the Army. That's next year, right?
No, Army's this year.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm meeting a ton of people. If you need help with disabilities, I mean, Pancho's great. I also can do that. I have a team of people because we're out there. We're servicing veterans, and when you service veterans, they want to return the service to you. So we are working on building a veteran service organization that is vetted. And you're going to get turned on to the right people that can help you in whatever situation you're in. So,
and if anybody wants to donate any proceeds or whatever, can they go on the same websites as well?
Yeah, but so that's the other thing, man. We are 100% free, man. We have partnerships with other major corporations and companies that is taking care of us so that we can take care of veterans. And so, look, I've been down that road before, Poncho. I know you have too, where veterans are being nickel-dimed. We're not about that. We don't want to be about that. Everything that we do for veterans is completely free, unless they want a premium package, which most of them do. Then we can talk about that. But we give to veteran organizations and veteran services and veteran events rather than them paying us or collecting money for them. So that's the coolest thing about this.
Awesome, dude. Darwin, dude, thanks so much for your time. We'll definitely have to bring you back and chat a little bit more about this stuff and the great work that we're doing. I know you guys are getting ready to have a big powwow, so to speak, here in Georgia pretty soon. Hopefully I'm able to join you guys.
Come on, man. It's going to be huge, brother. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be a line. But, hey, thanks so much for your service, brother. And we'll definitely bring you back, man. Hoorah, get some.
Thank you for having me. And, help a brother out, man. Refer some people to us. And listen, the most important thing tonight is to subscribe and push out this podcast so that Pancho's good work, great work can get out there and we can continue this. So make sure you guys like and subscribe because he's doing an incredible service to veterans and the veteran community. So I want to thank you, Pancho, for having me on tonight. It was my honor. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Hoorah, get some. Hey, everybody. It was great having Darwin here, and we'll definitely bring you back. These are the things that we want to do, and this is why one of the reasons. Hey, by the way, I don't get a dime out of doing this podcast. As a matter of fact, huge shout out to Brian Coburn for allowing me to do these things, just to pass on the word, because we should be a hub. We should be hooking each other up, doing habus and hasus, and for our fellow sisters, hook a sister up. we should be doing a connection. Hey, I got a guy, I know a lady, I know a dude, whatever the case may be. That's how we should be working and helping each other out. And not only with business, but also with resources, with also helping each other out. If somebody, we should be, hey, I'm in a crisis, I'm doing this, I'm going through it right now. Can somebody please just talk me off this fucking ledge, because I'm about to jump. So, which brings me to my, before we close out, look, if you've been ruminating, you've been kind of going in the dark hole where you feel yourself kind of the world closing in on you, and you're about to do something stupid that you won't be able, that all of us will be holding that bag and asking the questions as to what happened. Reach out to somebody. You can reach out here at the show, and I really mean that shit. Reach out to the show. There's plenty of other resources. TRICARE, Military One Source. There's the Veteran Suicide Hotline. There's something out there. If anything, reach out to me. Let me talk you off that. Let me be at least that last conversation. I'll get you off that fucking ledge, and I'll get you to the resources that you need so you can get back in the right mindset, so that we can all go out there and hook and jab and just make this world that much of a better place. All right. So I think this is a good way to end this right over here. Great having Darwin on our show. So with that being said, everybody, we're going to end this. Ara, get some daisuki, ice mas. I'll see you around. I'll see you next week. Yacht.